great to be back and starting the new year with a new episode of Milling About, a one-of-a-kind show that brings the best of Minneapolis right into your home. I'm your host, Brianna Rose, and for the first episode of 2021, be prepared to be dazzled by the magic of Jim Berg, talk sushi with restaurant owner and sushi master Billy Sushi. We'll learn about a new spa experience coming to Minneapolis with Nell Rueckl, the owner of Watershed Spa. We'll learn about the Bridgewater Arts Program with Peter Zenner and Diane Walsh. Audrey Licard will stop by with tips for living a zero-waste lifestyle. And then we'll learn about becoming a Minnesota water steward with Michelle Spangler. Now let's get started. I'm here today with magician Jim Berg from Twin Cities Magic and Costume. Great to have you here today, Jim.
It's wonderful to be here, Brianna.
Magic is quite an art form, and I was wondering, how did you get started doing magic?
Well, my family was in the steel business, and back in 1968, one of the steel mills sent out a magic kit promoting and advertising their new magic steel plate. Being the youngest in the family, when my dad brought the kit home, I got the magic kit. So as many magicians start out, it started with a kit.
Just a little kit, and it got you on the way to you perform now as a career. How long have you been doing that?
Pretty much since I first got that kit. I had my first paying job when I was 13 years old, doing a holiday party at a Masonic lodge. And I had to have my parents drive me to the job, my first job, because I didn't have any transportation.
13 years old, needing to get a ride to your first gig. Do you remember your first trick?
I do. Oddly enough, it was in that magic kit, and I happen to have it right here. Would you like to see it?
I would love to see it.
Alrighty. So this is a trick called the cups and balls, and it's the oldest trick in magic. So not only is it my first trick, but it's the first magic trick. Dating back to the early Roman times, and there was simultaneous thought going on. Magic's international and universal. So if you went back into the early days in China or India, you would find people having done this trick. It's a trick that uses 1, 2, 3 balls and 1, 2, 3 solid cups. We're going to start off by taking ball number 1, put it on top of the center cup, cover it up, and with a snap and a tap, you know what happens? It goes right through, solid through solid. Here, we'll do it again for you. 1, 2, 3 solid cups. Ball number 2, we're going to make twice as difficult by making it go through 2 cups with 2 snaps, and you guessed it, it goes right through. Now, Brianna, some people think it only works in the middle, so this time we'll do it over on the end, again using 1, 2, 3 solid cups. One last ball, one last time, cover it up, and with a snap and a tap, it goes right through. So let me show you just how easy this is, and you can learn a trick too. The whole time I told you we had 3 balls and 1, 2, 3 solid cups. But in reality, we really have 4 balls. Now, the 4th one's right here. 3 things I'd like to point out about it. Number 1, it's invisible. Number 2, it's transparent. Therefore, number 3, you can't see it. Make sense? So check this out. Oops. I have to be more careful. I knocked it off. It's hard when they're invisible. Anyway, just like that, with a snap and a tap, and you know what happens? The same as before, it goes right through. So now there are 3 balls below that you can see and 1 that's still invisible. And for those skeptics out there, do you see the invisible ball there? Of course not. You couldn't see it if it was. It's invisible. And it didn't go up because that's against gravity, and everybody knows gravity's the law, which means it went down. Would it be easier if you could see the 4th ball? This is where you get to help, Brianna.
Yes.
If you could please do this for me. Thank you. Thank you. It's a cheap way to get applause, but it works. But it also makes so that you can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 balls, 1, 2, 3 cups, and that's the story of the cups and balls. My very first trick.
That was great. So is magic a part of your everyday life?
Absolutely. In fact, starting from the time that I learned my first tricks. I did my first show. I took some lessons at the community center. And then a couple of years later, I actually taught those lessons at the same place. I went for my first real outside of magic job. I was going to be a cashier at the grocery store. And I did an interview and they said they liked me. And I had one last test to do. So they took me over the cash register and they handed me a dollar bill and they said, we'd like to show us how to make change. So this is where my first mistake came. I went like this and said, there you go. There are two halves. They didn't think that was very funny. They take their money very seriously. I folded it again and said, there's 4 quarters. Still not even a snicker. Apparently they had wanted to see 4 quarters the hard way, which looks something like that.
That's impressive.
Anyway, thank you. Yeah, so whether it was my first job, I paid for part of my college by doing magic shows. When I met the love of my life, I proposed using magic. And in fact, when I went to give her her engagement ring, I was going to do that magically. So I took a gold, her gold finger ring, and I was floating it, and it was going to change into the engagement ring. And that is the most nervous magic trick I've ever done. But then after that, we opened Twin Cities Magic and Costumes. So every day I get to do magic. We have people coming in and we demonstrate magic tricks at the counter and have a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for being with us today, Jim.
You bet. My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
For this month's Local Eat segment, I'm with sushi master Billy Sushi. Great to have you today, Billy.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's just fun to see another person, right?
Right, we're all very isolated.
Oh, yes.
So you opened Billy Sushi in the North Loop in the middle of a pandemic. And a lot of people would consider that a somewhat risky move. And I was wondering what inspired you to go ahead with an opening at this point in time?
Well, being sushi chef for so long, and life is unpredictable, and sometimes you want to make it predictable. And when you are living, you want challenge. And I think opening a restaurant middle of pandemic is greatest challenge in my lifetime, I think. So it was the challenge, and also it was the passion. After I sold Sushi Fix, not making sushi for long, like 3 years. And actually my non-compete finished on April 31st, and then we opened Billy Sushi May 4th. So that's how much actually I was desperately waiting to make sushi again. And I just didn't even care about the pandemic. And my goal was like, okay, let's make the best sushi, right? So
you must really love to make sushi if you could only wait like a month before you wanted to open a new restaurant making sushi again.
Yeah, well, yes. Well, I mean, sometimes, the thing always say, right? If you love what you do, you're not working. So I never work. I just hang out at sushi bar. And, you can call me a master, but people call me like, yo, Billy.
So, okay, you opened during a pandemic. Would you consider your opening a success?
Yes, it is success because in a certain way, it actually like teach us how to adapt to the new things, right? So we just actually it's like for us, very long period of time we are doing soft opening. So, every time like when a restaurant open, they usually do the soft openings. And apparently our soft opening was like maybe 5-6 months. Usually most likely soft opening is like 2 or 3 days. Then the restaurant start operating and having fun, right? But us, it was like that. So, I mean, whatever it is, and we just need to do the best out of it. So
we're in a new year, and I'm wondering, what's in store for us for 2021? Are there any sneak previews of food you'll be serving up that you'd like to share with us?
There is actually quite few things we like to showcase, but it's so hard to how do you say, to present it now, because we don't know how long this pandemic gonna go, and right now we are just day to day navigating through this crazy, insane times. It's wild. I mean, like, we are like hoping to reopen back December 18th. Then I will like say, it's like, okay, maybe we're gonna say of this, right? If we are not gonna able to open in December 18th, certain of our supplies, they may be out of the business. So then whatever I planned on the menu couldn't even possibly produce it. So it's just hard to say those things. Yeah.
Well, you may not be able to say what's going to be on the menu for 2021 just yet, but do you have anything on the menu that's a favorite of yours right now?
Yes, of course. I think I will give you one picture that we actually bring the entire bluefin tuna, brings it in, so we can actually taste all like 7 different cut of the bluefin tuna. And and when you talk about the sushi, like especially in Japan or amongst the sushi chef, the bluefin tuna is the king of the sushi. So we do have like items like blue wave roll. It's actually inside minced bluefin tuna with scallion, topped with bluefin tuna, and then scallop. Right? It's delicious. Like it's like explaining this food over the like this kind of internet is so hard, because it's easier to like give you one and then you taste it, you are like, oh my god, yes, I agree. Right? Because like once your like mouth is so watering and it's so delicious, you just couldn't wait for the second bite. I mean, that's the blue wave roll. And there is like a bluefin tuna chick. We actually sells it, because even though I have large that bluefin tuna, like maybe 300 pounds, there's only 2 chicks come out, right? So that's why it's really neat. Yeah.
It sounds delicious, and I totally get what you mean by you really need to experience the food. I appreciate you
Yeah.
taking the time today, Billy.
Oh no, thank you very much, Bri. And thanks for having me, and cheers, and see you soon.
I'm here with Nell Rueckl, the founder of Spot Spa, and she'll also be opening Watershed Spa in spring or summer of 2021. Great to have you today, Nell.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'd like to talk about your new venture, Watershed Spa. Now, when most people think of spa, they think of massage, facials, things along that line. And I know Watershed plans to offer those, but Watershed is also going to be a very unique experience spa for the Twin Cities. Would you mind telling us more about that?
I would love to. So typically how I like to try to explain it is Watershed will be a full service spa, just like how you imagine it in any day spa atmosphere, except for we will be offering some other modalities to assist in your healing and your offerings here in the city. One approach that inspired me about Watershed is the meditative aspect and the communal aspect of soaking and bathing. So Watershed will be offering an area that is separate from the day spa area that will offer soaking, plunging, steaming, and sauna. So you will be able to, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Wim Hof method, or there's another method that's called the Cure, where people soak in pools and then they head over to a cold plunge and then you sauna. I know up here in the north, we are very familiar with what it's like to sauna and then plunge into a lake and then go back to your sauna. So we will be creating an environment where people will be able to do all of those things in one large room. So you'll be able to get your spa services on one level, and then in the lower level will be a bathing and soaking, steaming, and plunging area.
What do you envision the experience being like for visitors? Like when they come in, what will it be like for somebody visiting?
So when you enter, again, you'll be greeted you can have two options. The upstairs will be, again, a day spa scenario. So most of those services will be a la carte: acupuncture, holistic skincare, holistic body work, all different styles and different modalities of body work. So you can kind of sign up for just an appointment and leave. You do not have to use the communal bathing environment. The communal bathing environment will be a separate area where we will take you down, show you the area, show you the different methods of steaming, saunaing, cold plunging, all of the, the way that, each person kind of has a different way that they want to do it. We don't plan on guiding people through each step individually. We will tour you, and then you can kind of pick your own adventure. So that area will be a separate, I guess, for lack of a better term, ticket item. So, you can choose to go to Watershed and just use the baths and not have any services. You can choose to go to Watershed and get a massage, use the baths, come upstairs, use the infrared sauna, meditate, different things like that. So everybody gets to pick their own adventure based on the menu.
It sounds like such a neat and also relaxing experience. Is there anybody in particular who you feel like would really benefit from doing communal baths? Or I feel like a lot of people in the Midwest are not probably that familiar with communal bathing and why the benefits of it, why they might want to do it.
There are so many different, honestly, one of my favorite things about this offering is that there are so many different age groups that can benefit from this, and such a large demographic that can benefit. So let's say you're a student at the U and you are really stressed out and you have a test tomorrow. You can go, you don't have to talk to anyone. You can be quiet. You can do the bathing experience and head out on your own. Kind of create your own basically urban retreat and, a meditative experience. So I see it from being anywhere from a student at the U to somebody who's 65, just had knee surgery, really needs to use the cold plunge, but yet still wants a meditative, holistic approach.
And when will this be open to the public?
We're hoping to get it open in spring. I would say late spring, early summer. Yep.
And where can people find more information about it?
Watershedspa.com.
Great. Thank you so much for joining me today, Nell.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
I'm here with Audrey Licard, and she's going to share with us a tip for living a zero waste lifestyle. Audrey, hand it over to you.
Yeah, thanks so much. So today I just want to talk about shopping at the grocery store. Obviously, restaurants are closed right now, so you may find yourselves in a grocery store more often than you otherwise may be. So grocery stores, when COVID first started, didn't allow you to bring in your own bags. Many of them didn't. Now they do, which is great. So I want to encourage people to not only use like a canvas bag, like you might just any old canvas bag to put your groceries in. And you can just bring 4 or 5 of these every time you go to the grocery store. They also hold a lot more weight than a paper bag does. But also the plastic bags that you might put inside of your canvas bags or your grocery bags can be replaced with one of these mesh bags. I've got a bunch of them, and so I just use them to put in cilantro, lettuce, produce, whatever else I might want to fit in your potatoes. And that way I don't come home and have a whole bunch of empty plastic bags that I just put in the trash that live in the landfill for many, many years to come. So I suggest using these. They're great, and it really helps reduce your waste. Thanks.
I'm here with Peter Zenner and Diane Walsh with the Bridgewater Friends and Neighbors of the Arts program. Thanks for being here today, Peter and Diane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brianna.
I've had the pleasure of actually visiting the Bridgewater and seeing some of the amazing work from local artists. And I was wondering how this program got started.
Well, Brianna, actually it goes back to, 2014, where a small group of Bridgewater residents started exploring the possibilities of rotating art throughout the Bridgewater. So the first thing we did, we started out by touring art programs at other condo buildings. And then in 2015, we officially formed our organization called the Bridgewater Neighbors and Friends of the Arts. And we hired Allison Price as the curator of our new Art at the Bridgewater program. So Allison is an artist, an amazing artist at Northrop King, and has an extensive network with the artist community in the Twin Cities. So Allison really helped us get this program off the ground.
Now, Peter, you manage the finance and sales for the program. How successful would you say that it's been?
It's been very successful. Our first exhibit was unveiled in July 2016. And since that time, we have shown a total of 15 exhibitions. I can't believe it's been that many. And we have spotlighted over 160 Twin City artists. So the Art at the Bridgewater program, as I said, has been very successful. So since 2016, we have sold $215,000 of art, benefiting over 75 artists. So the program is completely self-sustainable and is at no cost to the Bridgewater HOA. So our expenses are paid through a 30% commission on all sales, donations, and sponsorships.
Wow, that sounds very successful, and what a great amount of exposure for our local artists. Now, Diane, I heard that there's a second part to the program that started, and it has more to do with acquisitions. Would you mind telling us a bit about that part of the program?
Yes, Brianna, the rotating art program has been so successful that the building has determined that they always want art in the building. So we were asked as a committee in 2017 to begin acquiring permanent art for the building. So we have started the Bridgewater Permanent Collection. The HOA involvement is such that we, when this new committee was formed, we selected artists and introduced them to the homeowners. The homeowners then selected the artists and the committee selected the art. And we did our first opening reception for the permanent collection in 2019 and introduced 5 artists to the community. That art is currently in the lobby area. Again, the program has been so successful that the board has asked us again to acquire art. So in 2020, despite the pandemic, we have been reaching out to the community with recommended artists. They've selected the artists, they've approved our selected artists and the works, and we are in the process of acquiring those now. Those will be in the newly remodeled community room. So in the lobby, we have the start of the permanent collection alongside the rotating collection. And in the community room, we will have the second phase of the permanent art collection.
Well, that is a successful program then, if you're able to start with exhibiting art and having it be something that the community wanted enough of to have a permanent collection at the Bridgewater.
Yes, it's been extremely successful, and the homeowners are very proud that this is their very own collection. Each permanent piece of art is separately identified as belonging to the Bridgewater residents, and they take great pride in showing those pieces of art to visitors.
Peter, Diane, thank you so much for sharing with us a bit about this program, and thank you for your time today. In this month's River Matters segment, I'm speaking with Michelle Spangler, a Minnesota water steward. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I must admit, I did not know what a Minnesota water steward was or what they did. And so would you mind telling our viewers how you became one and what it is that you do?
Sure. I first learned about the Minnesota Water Steward Program back in 2016. I was reading an article in the Minnesota Monthly Magazine, and there was a story of a group of stewards putting in a rain garden in a church parking lot. And I just thought, that's really cool. That's what I would love to do. I have a background in science education, and it's just a perfect blend of education as well as, putting those ideas into action. So the goal of the program is to create neighborhood leaders that can advocate for clean water issues in their communities and be a resource for their neighbors.
I heard that you started an Adopt a Storm Drain program or challenge. What inspired you to get this going?
I had no idea that everything that enters our streets and enters our storm drains flows straight into the Mississippi River, at least in my neighborhood in Northeast, without any sort of filtering. It was only when I became a water steward that I learned that. And when my son started kindergarten a couple of years ago, I had a lot of time at the bus stop staring at the storm drains on the corner that were clogged with leaves and flooding a bit in the spring. So I went online, I went to adoptadrain.org and adopted those storm drains and started cleaning them up. And I wanted to learn more about the program. And I learned that a couple neighborhoods in St. Paul had a contest to see which neighborhood could adopt the most storm drains. And I can be a bit competitive. And so I thought, if St. Paul can do it, Northeast Minneapolis can do it even better. So I reached out to my neighborhood association, and it just kind of took off from there.
It's kind of scary to think that everything that goes into our storm drains ends up into the river. That's a great challenge and a great program. How did your community respond?
They were really enthusiastic. I spoke at a lot of neighborhood associations, letting them know about the challenge. This was early this year when we can still go places. And everyone was just really excited and joined the challenge. And we were gonna have a big kickoff party, and we were just really excited. My council person was on board, and I had partners with the city of Minneapolis and the Adopt a Drain organization and my watershed district, MWMO. It was really exciting. And then COVID happened, and it really slowed everything down, but we still got the word out about the challenge through social media and neighborhood newsletters. And I think it was actually a really good thing for this year. I think people needed something to do, something that created some good in the world this year, and cleaning out storm drains is the perfect way to do that. So it was a good year, as it turned out, to have a storm drain challenge.
A great year for that, because it's easy to social distance, and it does, we all need something to do. And that's something that's having a direct impact on the community in a very positive way. How have you measured the success of this program?
When we first started, I had no idea. My training as a teacher, I was trained to set measurable and quantifiable goals, and nothing on this scale had been done before, so we didn't know what to expect. But as it turned out, over the course of the challenge, we found that Northeast neighborhoods saw a 40% increase in the storm drains that were adopted, whereas other neighborhoods only saw a 14% increase in storm drain adoptions. So that stat just really blew me away when I learned that. I had no idea that it was going to make that big of a difference, and getting the word out about the role that storm drains play in the health of our river. And we kept over 2,700 pounds of waste out of the river over the course of the challenge, and adopted 260 storm drains. So just really, really exciting.
That's measurable success for sure. I never knew it was so easy to make such a big impact. Thank you so much for being with me today, Michelle.
Thank you.
That's all we have for you today. I hope you'll join us next month when we have Michelle Rivero on to discuss Minnesota and immigration. Ramona Kitto-Stately will bring us contemporary Native news. A local writer, poet, and performance artist will share her work, and we'll have another zero waste lifestyle tip from Audrey Licard. See you next month.